Hello, so this is something to note if you're experimenting in personality crap. Don't be afraid to let things get really weird. Like, you might, if you like have a camera or or you just writing or expressing or in whatever way you decide to express yourself, because that's what I did is I practiced expressing myself in private. I had the camera, and even sometimes without a camera, because I just wanted to get what was inside out, and I wanted to see it. So I would do it with the camera so I can see it, and I would also do it just to feel it, because I wanted to know what kinds of things did I want to express, what kinds of things were hidden deep down that I didn't know were there, maybe. And shit can get really weird, because when this is what I think anyway, is when you repress for a long time, it just kind of it just gets your inner self just gets fucking crazier and crazier until you finally get to a place where you comfortably find out who you are. Another thing is I would also try different, I guess you could say, personalities, or you know not necessarily characters, but like I would try different behaviors, I guess you could say, behaviors, and even kind of like characters with people, just to see how it felt, to see what was comfortable, what was uncomfortable, because like I said, I didn't really know who I was, and nothing really fit like a glove, but I would try different things and just see how people. I see, my problem was I would see how people would react to them, and base my approval or disapproval on that. And that was my mistake. And so I would not advise making that same mistake. It's not about what they approve of or what they disapprove of. It's about what you approve of and what you disapprove of. So you can skip that long mistake if you're hearing this. But you might, I'm just going to be honest with you, you might end up just being like, like, I know that's crazy looking, right? And that's craziness, it seems like. But you might end up just expressing that, uh, and it's weird, you know. And you might do something like that, and then be like, "Am I going crazy?" Or that was really weird. Is that really who I am? Am I really just a crazy person? But honestly, it helps, because what you need to get rid of is self-judgment. Or, if you want to listen to me anyway, what I advise you get rid of is self-judgment. So you can act like, nah. You can do anything. That's the point. You can do anything, and you won't think less of yourself for anything that you do. That's the point. It's getting to a place where you don't judge yourself at all, ever, for anything, because you don't need to. You realize you don't need to. So be as wacky as you want. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that in public, but there's nothing you can, if you want. If that, maybe that would help you. I've done some weird things in public on trains and stuff like that. Just to feel the disapproval of people. And I early on, like in my early 20s, I would do weird things in public, just to try to rise above the disapproval. But that was early on, and it did help, but it wasn't really the point. The point was my own judgment of myself. That was really where I had the problem. So yeah, I would recommend being by yourself and making yourself uncomfortable with your own behavior, because if you make yourself uncomfortable with your own behavior, you it's because you're judging yourself. You're judging yourself. So just don't be afraid to get really weird. And it's my suspicion that who you are naturally is not as weird, crazy, violent, angry, and all that stuff as you may think. There may be definitely, there may be quirks, there may be weird quirks, there may be tons of things, and there may be very weird things. But for me, as when I did finally get that self-assurance that I've been searching for a long time, and finally get an idea of who I am, when I finally got that, a lot of the craziness subsided, because I realized that it was not necessarily, it was a behavior issue too, but it was mostly an internal issue. So I can calm down now, or I can be more forward, or I can do lots of different things, and the self-assurance is really just a feeling, or a lack of a feeling of judgment, a lack of a feeling of shame. And so it would be beneficial to expose yourself to situations that would cause you shame and judgment, until you finally realize that you don't need it, that you just don't need it. But maybe that advice isn't for everybody. Maybe it's for some people and not others. But I would take it into consideration. Even if you're just I would recommend it being completely alone. Maybe listen to some music that you feel uncomfortable listening to, or just do something that's really, really weird or taboo by yourself, not hurting anybody, not bringing anybody in harm's way, but just to see it expressed. That's my advice, and do what you want with it. Alright, see ya.